So, hi everyone, welcome to our new video. And today we're going to be talking about an intro to Claude Cowork and Claude Code. And it's going to be Travis and I here today making a little bit of this intro workshop. And I'll just introduce myself first, I guess. My name my name is Thiago Ferreira. I am the founder and CEO of Elevate AI Consulting, which is a boutique AI consulting firm based in Miami, Florida. And I'm also an adjunct professor at the University of Miami, where this fall I'm going to be teaching a new course there called Human-Centered AI for All. And I do have my LinkedIn links here as well. Please be sure to connect with me. I'm sharing interesting AI content and company updates all the time.
Travis McBurney. I am the founder of the McBurney Group. We focus on custom AI solutions for specifically hospitality, events, weddings, food and beverage, and operations. But again, having a lot of background in those areas, just areas near and dear to my heart. My information is there as well. I am not as cool as Thiago. I don't have professorship or anything yet, but we're working on it, right?
Yeah.
But delighted to be back and having our second online chat.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. This is a very hot topic in the moment, right? Everybody's talking about Claude. I don't know about you, but yeah, all my clients, everybody is just Claude. I've been telling people I used to get hired all the time to do like ChatGPT, like workshops and trainings, and it's been months. Like all my trainings, everything is just about Claude lately. I don't know how it is with your clients.
Oh my gosh, 100% as well. I was down speaking at a conference in the Bahamas. I would like to drop the Bahamas because it sounds cool. But I was down there, and this was a bunch of event and wedding professionals and super high-end ones. And the group barely did know who Claude was. But by the end of the conference, everyone was like, I've got this. I've got it down. They were trying to find more information about Claude. So it's just, coming at just an interesting point in time. But everybody is hopping on the bandwagon, which is great to see. And so, yeah, this is a very timely and appropriate topic right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, from what I've seen and, part of the reason that we decided to do this today is, well, similar with other AI tools, everybody's just kind of scratching the surface of what Claude can do, right? I have here, most people are using like 10% of what Claude can do, which is, as I said, similar with other tools as well. It's not a different situation. And ChatGPT or Perplexity, these tools can also do a lot, and people are just starting to learn how to use them. And mostly use them, using them like Google in a lot of times, right? And copy, paste, asking basic questions or using it as a basic assistant, which is really useful. And, all those emails that it's rewriting for you are great. But what I tell companies is that that's never going to hit your bottom line, right? You really want to find out what these tools can actually do for you. And with Claude Cowork and Code, that's exactly where it takes you, is these tools start doing things for you and not just answering questions or drafting basic documents. And it's the real shift from, how do I use Claude to what do I want Claude to do for me? So excited to dig into these two advanced tools today. And I think, like we said, this is why it's a timely topic.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is your use and interaction and familiarity with Claude Web, Claude Chat, right, is the foundation for both of these. You're not learning net new news, right? You're still going to chat and exchange. And, I think you're right. Like there is so much out there, and it is almost a little bit of paralysis. Like, what do I do? How do I use them? And like, sure, you can use them in a certain way, but the optimal way, right, is where the value is going to come into play, which we're going to talk about today for Cowork and for Code. And I think that's something where I just live in Claude all day long, every day. That is, I don't even operate anywhere else. My email comes in, right, and everything it routes there. But if maybe that's an advanced place down the line for people. But if you start thinking about that, well, what can I do with it, right? And you're chatting with it, and you're instructing it, and you're guiding it, and you're orchestrating, and that's where these three levels, come into play. And excited to dive in. Both these tools are great, and they do different things, but similar. But also, don't be scared of either. Cowork is just talking with your digital coworker, I like to say, and talking with Claude Code is just talking like a more technical digital coworker. So I think it's going to be a great experience for people to start getting here and playing around. And I hope today is going to be a good start for them to get going.
Yeah, so let's get started. We're talking about Claude Cowork, or we're calling it the level 2, right? And this is a tool that really goes to work for you, automating tasks, taking over your computer. So one of the first things to know about it is that you can only use it on the desktop app. So it is not on the browser version of Claude. You do have to download the actual dedicated app on your machine. And it is only available on the paid plans. If you're on one of the free plans, you do not have access to it. So as long as you're on that $20 a month plan or more, which I'm definitely on the more at this point.
Same. Go look at my bill.
Yeah, don't look at my bill. You can have access to it. And it can access your files. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here in a minute. It does have the ability to browse the web as well on your behalf. So actually taking over your computer and doing that on your actual browser, not just in the background. And it can run scheduled tasks for you on a specific timeline that you set it to, even when you're not there, as long as your computer is on and running. So the core idea here being that Claude really stops being a conversation partner and starts being more of an actual assistant with access to your machine, your files, and the entire web, anything that your computer can access. And so let me just very quickly show here, for those of you who are already on the desktop app, you know where chats live here on the left side column. And right up here at the top is where you're going to see all of the options for the different tools, actually. So Cowork will be the one here in the middle, and Claude Code that Travis is going to talk about in a little bit, it'll be the third option there. That's how you access all of the tools. And very similar to the regular chat, you're just going to start a new task here instead of a new chat. And you can see I already have a prompt posted in here that I'm going to run and show you as an example in a little bit. But from here, you can select the project or folder that you want it to work in for you. So for example, if you wanted it to work in your downloads folder, Elevated AI Consulting is the company. So this is my Drive folder that I could want it to work into, or my clients, right? And different projects that I have here, or you can select a new one, right? These are the ones that I worked in the past. I can easily select a new folder here and select any folder that's in my computer, right? So very, very easy to do that. The next thing that we want to see here on the screen really is the permission level that you're going to give it to work. So you can either set it to ask you before acting. So when it gets to a point where you need to make a decision, it'll stop and ask you. Or if you're really feeling adventurous, and depending on what you're working on, it may actually just be more appropriate, you can have it act without asking, where you're just given it full power to move things, edit things, and delete things on your behalf. So got to be careful with that one. But at the same time, for some tasks that are not as serious, that you can trust Claude to just go ahead and handle it without asking you every couple of minutes if it can do something or not, then you can select that option there as well. And then, of course, just like in the regular chat, you have the model selector here and the efforts that it takes. But keeping in mind, right, the usage is higher with the more complex models that you choose. So for most tasks, in my experience, I don't know about you, Travis, but for most tasks, Sonnet is plenty enough. And unless you're really, really doing something complex, Opus is not really necessary.
Totally agree. And, I usually tell clients start, if it's, you have to think through something and it's complex, pop on Opus and really gotta get the really details. And then anything execution wise, 100%. Sonnet is the way to go. Vastly cheaper, very still like an incredibly good model, but I think that's where people get hung up. Or if you don't notice that it's actually set at Opus, and all of a sudden you have no more credit. I mean, that's where things. So it's managing that is going to be key. But 100% agree. Do use what you need, not only when you need it, right?
100%. I agree. And just kind of, you get used to it as the more that you use it, right? So it's one of those things that you get the habit of. So to talk a little bit about the difference, right, between the chat and the do mode or the co-work mode, the key differences are there. And in the chat mode, the regular Claude that most people are using, you have to be there, right? It answers your questions and it just lives in that chat box that you're interfacing with it. And as you're probably seeing, it can generate documents, pages, different artifacts when you ask for it. So it is obviously a very, very useful tool, as many people are finding out. But it is more reactive, right? You go to it, you make requests, and it does them. With Claude Cowork, one of the big differences is that it can run without you on a recurring schedule if you set it as a scheduled task. It can take actions on your behalf, depending on permission level that you set, as you just showed it. And as I just showed it in the desktop app, it can make decisions and take actions on its own as well through the complex thinking. And again, depending on what permissions it have set. And as I already mentioned, it lives in your Cloud Desktop app. That's where you access it exclusively. And if it can file things away for you, send emails, saves the output that does on its own. And so it's really more of a proactive tool. You set it, it goes to work, and you come back to some results, whether that is on a scheduled task or just an individual task that you're setting for it. It is acting on your behalf. It's closer to what most people would consider an AI agent.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the beauty comes in of what they call it, force multiplier or whatever. Like, think about like, I need to do this, but I have to spend time doing it to get to the output to do the work I want to do. This is where you just send, you send your team off to go do things, and they come back to you, and you look at it, and you're like, oh, it looks good, or oh, maybe a little tweak here, whatever it is. But then you get to go and do the work. So it does start to make you think about how the ways of working will work, right? How will I work in the future? What's the way I will work independently, or how I work with my team? Because again, the future is human coworkers and digital coworkers coexisting and working well together. And how do you best interact and get the most out of everybody?
Yeah, 100%. I had a client tell me recently, that she doesn't need any more doers on her team. She needs thinkers. And that really made me think through, the question that I get all the time, you probably get all the time, right? Like, what is the work of the future kind of looks like, and what are the roles that are going to be there? And this client, from a fairly large company was telling me, it's not that we want to hire less people or we want to have less people. In fact, I'm growing my team. But if Claude can just do things for me, then I don't need to hire another doer, right? I don't need to hire somebody to make the PowerPoints, process the invoices, like whatever those tasks happen to be. I need somebody to be a critical thinker on my team. Like that's the skill. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, exciting. Gotta use our brains actually more, not less.
Yeah. So I didn't touch on that. Like, I think that's the thing people are scared of. And the reality is, like, you're actually able to do more critical thinking because instead you have spent 3 hours getting the data, and prepare, and then you okay, I'm going to put it together versus it's put together and you spend less than 3 hours critically evaluating it for opportunities. It's a completely different game for me. I'm very pro AI, obviously, but I think when people start to see things differently about the opportunities of the future, it's game changing in a lot of very positive ways.
100%. It's about using it intentionally and in the right way, right?
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things that I already talked about and showed, right? As far as getting started, you have to have the desktop app. Once you log in, you're going to set the folder, a specific folder that you want it to work in, just as I showed. Or if you just want it to work on the web, right, you don't have to select a specific folder, but you have to be specific in your prompt. Understand the permissions. And one thing that I didn't mention is all of the different connectors, right? Most people that are using Claude probably already know about the connectors, but I can show here in the Claude Cowork page, if you click the plus button here, you'll be able to see all the different connectors that you have enabled or add more. And these are the tools that you're giving Claude Cowork permission to access and utilize in the tasks that you give it. So very important to make sure that you have those enabled, or at least the right ones enabled. And important to know that it'll also work with your existing skills, right? So the same skills that you have created for your Claude regular chats, they can also be enabled here, and Claude Cowork can access them as well to do things in the way that you like. And as always, with anything else, start with one, right? Pick one use case, test it out, make sure that you understand what the tool can or can't do, and nail it, and then move on to automating other things. The biggest thing is really thinking about it like a new assistant, and you tell them, one way to look at it, you have this new assistant, you tell them what can access, which drawers they can open, right, where you enable them access to different parts of the building, but you don't hand them the keys to the entire building in the first day, at least. And so same thing with Claude Cowork, you want to give it the access that it needs, but also kind of put it in the box that you need it to be, so it doesn't just go crazy, erasing all your years hard work all of a sudden. So one thing as well that I wanted to talk about was the scheduled tasks. This for me is one of the most useful features of Cowork. And you can set it and forget it for things that you do often, right? So a scheduled task is an instruction that you give Claude to run on a set time or a recurring interval. And some ways to think about it is, what are the tasks that I do every day or every week that are the exact same steps? That may be, I'm going to show some examples here. I'm doing some lead generation on a scheduled task. I'm doing a daily email roundup and summary for myself that I start with every morning. If there are specific, for example, reports that you have to download every single week or every single morning to start your day, right? You can have Claude Cowork doing that for you, so those are ready to go. So it is very easy. You write it in plain language as far as what your instructions go. No code required. And then it runs automatically on that schedule. And the output of it can go anywhere, right? So it can be, for example, for my lead generation example, it is generating those lead contacts and putting them in a spreadsheet for me. My daily email draft is actually just going in my drafts in my Gmail. That's where it's easiest for me to find it. Wherever you tell it, it'll put it there for you. And it has really flexible triggers. It can run every morning. It can run every Monday. It can run every time a specific file is added to a folder. And so very, very cool. And very quickly, I want to show how to set it up. So here on the left-hand column, you have the scheduled option. And you can just hit create new task. And you can either set it up manually or co-create it with Claude Cowork. In which, if you click on the create with Claude Cowork, it'll start a chat with you where it's going to prompt you with some questions on, hey, here, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, how often you're trying to accomplish it. And you can literally just set it up in that text back-to-back conversation context, which makes it really easy. So you can see here it's already asking me, hey, what kind of task is it that you want, with some suggestions, or you can enter your own text here as well. The other way to do it is simply clicking on scheduled. You're going to set it up manually, give it a brief name, so email summary, a description, right, which can be similar. And then you're just going to write your prompt here, which could be, check my inbox every morning. Remember, it does have connectors to the Gmail and Outlook. So in this example, check my email every morning, look at my inbox and my sent folder, and give me a summary of all the key things that happened in the previous day and my key actions, right? And what I do in my case, I have it also look at my schedule. I have it looking at my conversation, my meeting transcripts from the previous day, and triangulating all that information and bringing it together for me in a really nice summary that I wake up to every single morning. And then the other thing to know here is just the frequency. So you can see here, you can set it even hourly, daily, only on the weekdays or weekly. And so let's say I wanted to run Monday through Friday. So weekdays at the specific time that I set here. So very, very easy to set it up and have it running for you, every time that you need it.
I was going to ask you what's your favorite scheduled task, but I think you kind of answered it with your morning brief.
Yeah. My morning brief, and my morning brief it gets better actually every morning because I read it, and part of my schedule task instructions is that look at my briefing from the previous day because I add annotations to it in all caps. So the different items that are there, because for example, right, it can't pick up everything. Sometimes things get resolved by text message, for example. It doesn't have access to that. So it'll put something as something that's pending, and I'll just mark it, this is complete, this is done. This is what the client said. And so the next day it knows that, it updates it. And the fact that it reads through all of my meeting transcripts as well, it has so much more context and add things to it that I wouldn't remember, like, oh, so-and-so, this client said they're going to be on PTO next week, right? Like things that it just doesn't have the context of in my inbox. So I love it. It gets better every day, like I said. And it's just a great resource. So talking about folders, we already touched on this a little bit, right? But if you're working with specific folders in your computer, you're gonna specify that folder and understands that it has access to that folder and all the subfolders that are in it as well, right? So you're really giving it access to all the files that are included there. And so a great example for using Claude Cowork and that I hear a lot of people using it, and I just used it this week, was it just going through my downloads folder, which as I have here, like kind of like a crime scene for most people, right? And it takes up so much space, so many gigs on our computers. So I just had to go through my downloads folder, and first step was identify all the large files, all the screenshots, all the duplicate files, right? All the version 1, version 2, version 7, final version 19 of the same files. Identify what was the latest of those, and then make me a list of files to delete and how much space that was going to clear. And then I looked through it. I said, yeah, this looks good, go ahead. And it cleared over 7 gigs from my computer, right? And it just did that in a few minutes. So yeah, so nice. And I'm sure we all have a folder like that in our lives. So
I got to share mine real quick. I screen capture everything. In fact, I'm screen capturing you right now.
Great.
But I had like 12,000 screen captures. And then all just go to the same folder. And I'm like, well, I've got them there if I need them. But I was like, I can't decipher it because it's a system generated number. It's got a date in there, but nothing, right? So they just all look the same to me. And so I appointed Claude Cowork at that. And I said, I want you to evaluate these, categorize these, and rename these. And in just about an hour, it processed all 12,000 of my images, and they all have timestamps and dates on them. And it says what the actual contents are. It uses OCR, it looks at it, and it goes, okay, that sounds like a system prompt, or that looks like a presentation, or a capture, whatever. And now I have 12,000 fully documented images. That is just mind blowing to me to think, like, I had no clue before. Now I have a complete inventory of everything that I've taken a screen capture of. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's incredible. And one of the other things that really usually blows people's minds when they see it the first time is beyond just the fact that it works in folders, it actually taking over your entire computer, right? And you see the actual mouse like moving around. And so it sees what you see on your screen. It can click through just like you would, buttons, links, menus, fill out forms for you with information that you give it. and is goal driven in the sense that you just give it a goal. Again, the nice thing about it is that it's in plain language, right? You just write a prompt like you would any other prompt, and it figures out next steps for you. So it's a really great use case for multi-step tasks that you do the exact same way every single time. So I was giving the example, right? Like downloading specific reports, right? Or looking through specific information. Something that I used it for recently was I was participating in a conference and I had access to the conference portal website, right? And with all the information on who the other sponsors were. And I really wanted to take that list and create a mailing list, right? Like contact all those people who are attending this festival or this conference. But there was no easy way to do that. The only way was you have to visit the website, right? And so what I did was I used Claude Cowork to visit the website. And this took multiple sessions actually, because there was a lot of contacts and many different pages. But over a few sessions, Claude Cowork visited the website, pulled the names of all those companies and the attendees, and then I used Apollo lead enrichment tool to find their emails and then add them to my mailing list, right? So something, as simple as like scraping information from a website, but I never would have had the time to do that or desire really, but
Yeah.
Claude Cowork could handle that for me very easily. So a great example of how it can take over your computer.
Yeah. Crazy cool.
So yeah, I want to end my part here about Claude Cowork with some specific examples and showing people different ways that I use it. So on the business end, I mentioned this a little bit already. I use it to generate leads for my business every single morning. So I have it set to 50 leads. And the way that it works is it's Claude Cowork using the connector to Apollo. It does take over my computer to access a specific Google Sheet on my browser. And then using an email service that's called Bravo for like email automations and and to actually add those new leads and contacts to Bravo, I have a very simple two-step make.com automation, which is when contacts get added to this Google Sheet by Claude, just add them as a new contact to Bravo. So I've been running this for a while. Like I said, I have 50, I generate 50 new ones per day. And I just looked at the Google Sheet this morning, generated over 2,200 leads that have received my email cadence. Cost me about $60 a month between the Apollo, Bravo, and Make subscriptions. But again, it's not something that I have to do actively, right? It just runs for me every morning. I have an email cadence, and so it's promoting my brand. It has very specific instructions about the geography to look for the businesses, the types of businesses to include, and the types of businesses to exclude, who are just not usually the ones that are looking for an AI consultant. And yeah, it just runs for me every morning, enriches the data. It searches Google for those businesses, enriches the data through Apollo and actually through LinkedIn as well, pulls them, adds them to a sheet for me, and then triggers the email sequence. So out of those 2,200 leads that it has generated for me, I've had 4 people contact me. So from that specifically, I'm very good about the attributions about where my different business sources are coming from. And so that's just the name of the game, right? Like cold email conversion, as we know, is very low, regardless of the source of leads. But I know many businesses that are spending hundreds or thousands of dollars a month on leads as well, right? It's a big business. And so this is just $60 a month that I'm spending, regardless of the email conversion is actually very high. I can track it on Bravo, and they open, and there's a very high opening rate and a really high click-through rate actually to my website. But that's just how the funnel kind of works, right? And then those people is a handful that actually contact me. But again, just getting the name of my company out there, getting the name of my business, generating some leads, and it's just running on autopilot for me every single morning.
Yeah, but also 4 good leads for $60. It's like, I mean, that's great. You convert one, right? And you paid for your charge for the whole year plus 10 years, right? I mean, that's cool, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And then I always like to include some fun ones as well, like on the personal side of life. And Travis really likes this one in particular. But two examples of how I use it in my personal life. So number one is the closest store to my place here that I can go walking to and grab something quick is a CVS. And as we all know, CVS is very expensive. And so now every time if I'm about to leave my house, walk my dog and run over to CVS, I have Claude Cowork clipping all the CVS coupons for me. So I'm
Love
always
this.
paying the lowest price. Yes, it's so good. It's so good. And I'm
I
like, I'm
love
gonna try to
this.
run it here real quick. So because it's a good example of how it takes over your computer as well. And
Oh
then
my
the other
gosh.
one that we've done recently is we order most of our groceries through Walmart delivery. And so we had Claude Cowork run through all of our recent purchases and determine what are the items that we order all the time or most often. Then we had to create a list with the direct links to those items. And so now, whenever we're ready to place a grocery order, we just tell Claude Cowork to run. It adds all of those items to my cart for me. So it saves me so much time finding the items. I just go through my cart, add additional things or remove things that I don't need this time and place the order. So I do want to give credit for the CVS idea to my husband. This was his idea. He's so proud of it. But best, we run it all the time. Both of these ideas actually I have to give credit to him. And so I wanted to see actually if I can just run that CVS one real quick and so people can see because it's so fun. So just gonna open CVS.com and I thought I was already signed in, but I guess I'm not. Okay, here we go. Am I signed in now? Yeah, so I'm signed into my CVS account. That's like basically the one thing that you have to do. And I'm gonna show you here, very, very simple prompt. Go to this website, cvs.com, make sure I'm signed in. Once scroll to the extra care savings page and send all the coupons to my CVS card. So very simple. I didn't even give it specific steps. As you can see, I didn't say click here, click there, click here. I just said go to this website, find the coupons page, and just do it. So I want to see if it doesn't take too long, we'll wait here. If not, then we'll cut this part of the video.
You're like, I don't care what it is. If I got a coupon for it, I'm gonna buy it. Coupon.
And it's crazy because sometimes, I was going to actually compact the conversation. Here we go. It's crazy because sometimes the savings are huge. They have like 40% off coupons on top of 40% off coupons,
No, I told you offline, right? I admire you for this. I think it's so cool because I mean, who doesn't want to pay less for something if you can? Like, I don't want to pay full price. Of course, if I can pay less, I want to pay less for it. But I love the fact that like you took something, like a tool like this that could just make your life easier. And like, so if you want to pay your your $20 a month Claude subscription, anybody out there who want to do this is going to pay for itself by the coupons, right?
It pays for itself. It pays for itself 100%. I've saved more than $20 on CVS coupons many times. Claude is running here and taking over my CVS.com account. So let me go there and show. It's already there on my browser. So it's already found the coupons page. And then let's see here what it tells us. Let's see. Signed in, confirmed 185 coupons showing. And look, now it's clicking through. Oh my God, it's clicking. Oh, I can't even see it. It's too fast. It's clicking through and every single coupon one by one and adding them to my CVS card. I can't even tell. But anyway, this is an example of it literally taking over your computer, right? Taking over your browser. See, there you go. I'm not doing anything. Taking over your browser and just performing a task for you, right? And yeah, I just think it's really cool. Extra proud of this one for sure. And I'm gonna let it keep working while we continue. This is a great example of how to use Claude in your personal life and the example from business as well. And that is Claude Cowork. Remember, it can run on scheduled tasks for you where you just set it once. Use it for folder management, organize your files automatically, and overall anything on your computer that you want done. And remember that it can take over your computer. So that's real world automation for you without requiring any code, just plain language and clear goals. I hope that was inspiring and inspired everybody with a lot of great ideas to run Claude, both personally and professionally. And Travis, I will pass it over to you because I'm excited to hear about Claude Code.
Yeah, thanks. And I would say, once you start using these tools, right, this is where you start to realize how often and how you can use them, and it just becomes ingrained as part of like your daily routine in your life. And that's what's cool. Like for people that are just learning chat, like it was like, okay, but then now they go there all the time, right? The same thing will happen with Cowork. And if you're interested in doing the code side of things, it'll happen there as well. So I'd love to see the habits being formed, just kind of once you start to realize, I think everyone's going to start to get into this and just be wowed and want to do more. Thanks, Thiago. Really good information about Cowork, and I want to just shoot to Cowork's cousin, maybe. It does some of the same things, but it does things on a higher level. I know you know Code, but for those out there, I want people to think about these in a family, and they're related to one another. They do some of the same things, but they all each have their own kind of individual responsibilities and capabilities. But think about this, the web is someone you chat with, you ask questions, get answers. Cowork is someone that can do work on your computer. I can use the idea again, the digital coworker concept. And Code, this is where you can start actually building tools and systems and apps and workflows and agents and all the kind of thing, which are exciting and not scary. I think we'll kind of demystify that a little bit as we get in. And the one thing about Code, people think it could be just for developers, and I myself was the first. I was like, nah, not me. But it's really built for non-technical users. I actually talk with Code the same way I talk to chat, and same thing I talk to Cowork. We just have conversations, and so that way, I think it helps people think about, okay, I can do that. I can have a conversation versus like, not a coder. I'm not a developer. I work with developers all my entire life. I'm not an engineer, but I've worked with them as well. And the idea then is I'm helping to help instruct or help them give information to them for them to do their job. This is no different. You just have the power of a team of engineers and developers at your fingertips, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible what you can build with it. Once you just give it a try and give it some instructions, you can really build anything that you set your mind to.
Totally. And, imagination is really our only limitation right now. And that's pretty accurate. I mean, there's nothing I don't think I can't build at the moment, which is pretty crazy, but exciting. Whether it really all works as well as, the whole other story. But don't be afraid. Get out there and just play around with it. As long as you're not exposing client information or you're doing something, potentially that could, how to do things out to your customers or whatever, but like play around with it and have some fun, right? So this really talks about shifting away from asking questions to directing, orchestrating. That's a big concept for people to think about. The orgs of the future are going to be digital coworkers and human coworkers working together. And the human coworkers are going to be orchestrating information, orchestrating agent works and digital coworker works. And so start thinking about that. You're managing, you're orchestrating people. And I think some of the stuff coming after this will start to click a little better. All right. So similar to, was ask versus do, this is do versus build. So coworker is someone on the back end is going to do the work for you, again, central to your own computer. This allows you to step outside of that box and you can build tools and systems. You can also do it in a way where other people can access those things as well. You can deploy it, people can use it, or it's a system you can even host up, somewhere like in GitHub, et cetera, where then other people can access it, it can help contribute to it or whatever. But the idea is you're taking this a level up and actually developing tools and systems and solutions for things that you face in your everyday. And I love the different scenarios you came up with Cowork, because it comes down to I have a problem that I would just like to have it done fixed, or I don't have time to do this. Can you just do it for me? Or there's the world of like, gosh, when I get bigger or I have more advanced or whatever, I would like to do these things. This is where you can start to really use these tools to do all those things and and even more. So it's a pretty crazy and amazing concept, but I think once people get used to it, it starts to be something that becomes part of your daily routine, as well.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Yeah, and the great thing, no coding required from you. You can be completely non-technical. It helps that I have a background, probably a reason why I'm able to do this every day. But for those who not, don't be scared. It's not something. You're just telling what you want to have happen, and the system, will be able to help do it for you. I tell people, if you think about what Claude has access to, it is literally the equivalent of a million of X, whether it's engineers or developers or marketers or salespeople, it's all there. It's just how do you talk to it to get the information out of it that you want. So it's, we start thinking that way, the possibilities start to become unlimited. It can be everything, you describe it and it goes. It can be everything from systems to automations, dashboards, like we talked about. There's just a world of possibility ahead of everybody. Okay, are the possible? This is something where, cool, Travis and Thiago, like that sounds great, but like what does this like really mean? And art of possible is, it can be everything from foundational to really super advanced, whether it's a simple web app that you can deploy for yourself, whether it is a deployed API to connect your system directly system to system. You can start doing things like the automated delivery system, where you got multi-session build systems, client-facing portals, and on the far end, some of the products that I've built, like AI business manager platform, an intelligent orchestration layer. Literally, all of my information in my entire business talks to each other, understands, and I can then query and do things with that information. And how you end up having X over here, and you got this files over here, and this concept over here. Like, it doesn't talk to each other. This is a way for you to build something that allows it to do that, and you can build multi-agent systems. So again, it's endless, and I think that's where it's exciting, but also can be overwhelming for people. Just to start to ground ourselves into like what potentially could be. We'll start with the building blocks, and then over time we can talk more about the more advanced capabilities.
Yeah, something very simple that I built for myself and that was very easy for my business was just like a very simple, like a project manager, and like almost like a mini CRM. And so
Yeah,
instead of paying for HubSpot, like however much they charge, like I think it's pretty expensive plan actually that includes the project manager feature and the CRM feature. I just built one for myself. It took like a couple of days and a few trials is when I was first getting started using the tool. But now I have a visual representation of where all my different clients are, where all my different projects stand, and I'm not paying, sorry HubSpot, but I'm not paying $100 a month or whatever it is. So maybe I will, right? Maybe I will one day when I really need way more powerful features. I could probably build them, but like, is that cost?
yeah,
You have to make the calculation there for yourself, but
yeah.
for the level where my business is currently, what I've been able to build for myself over a couple of days is saving me, a good amount of money every year.
Totally. And your confidence continues to grow and you think of more options and the whole deal. That's the beauty of all these, is just, I feel like everything is a yes and, like, what else can we do? And it's exciting. And everyone's got their own journey. Things that work for me and you will not necessarily be the things for other people. So figuring out what are those things you should focus on. But then it all starts with, how do you think about talking with Claude Code, directing the build? So you direct, you tell it what you want, what you don't want, any context you can give it, and then essentially your digital coworker then goes and builds this. And so you describe it, Claude Code helps you plan it. You then get to look at the plan and you could say, hey, actually don't like that, or I like this, or whatever it might be, or let's change this. But the great thing is you have the opportunity to level set, calibrate as necessary, and then you go forward from there. A lot of times it just goes, somebody builds you something, that's great, but you didn't meet anything that I was looking for. Well, you didn't tell me what you're looking for, right? This is a chance to do all those things together before it goes and actually executes. And you can point it to files, you can use images, you can have screen captures. Again, the world is, context is available to use with Claude Code. You can have a go check out, XYZ file drive or whatever it is, or scrape a site. This is where you can start to have all options available to you when you're thinking about your solutions. Plan mode, I just touched on this, but super, super important. Never, ever execute without doing a plan first. You will fail. You will build a poor product. You'll be disappointed. And yeah, exactly. It's never going to be what it is because you didn't think through it clearly, right? So planning it allows you to do that. Seeing the change, you can stay in front of it. And also, it will, you're limited on what it can do, what it can't do, etc. But also, like, when do you then say this is good enough? I love to iterate. I love to iterate on purpose. I love to iterate because I want to see different variations. I walk and talk through, like, what if we took this approach? Once you do, and you lock in your plan, Claude Code has an executable that can go and run against. And here's the payoff, right? Redirecting, recalibrating a plan is far cheaper and less time strain on yourself than undoing something that you built. And you're like, oh, wait, I completely missed the mark here. So do the work on the front end. The execution becomes something that is much, much easier.
100%. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, and we have the ability to do in code. You can do it on the web. You can, I'll show you in just a second. We can do it on the desktop version, or my personal favorite is Terminal, which again is what traditional developers might use, and it's not as scary. Again, I still talk to each of them as if I'm just talking with you, and I think that's the beauty of getting people in the mindset of how you can work with AI. It's just tell it what you want, have a conversation back and forth, and then it goes in and it can execute for you. Same thing like with Cowork, tell it where to go, tell it where to live, right? Point to a folder, that's for the project. It starts blank and we have to give it some context, but you'll give it memory, you'll give it context, you'll give it things it should think about, and that helps shape its world. And then, then you can start to build from there. Advice on Claude. Don't do it at the top level, because that means if you think about like your system hierarchy of your computer, like don't do it at the top level. Or if you think about your project folders, don't do it at the top, because then it has access to everything, like you were saying before, folders and subfolders. Have it live where it needs to live, and that's fine. And then beyond that, it doesn't need to live other places unless you want it to live in those other places. Okay, Claude.md essentially is the 411, the rule, Bible of truth, the whatever analogy you want to use here, but basically this is the instructions that your Claude system will use to operate. So this thing you can tell like what we're trying to accomplish here. It can tell you things of like do these things or use these type of tools or don't use these things. It really is. And also like standards, other things like maybe you would say we always want to do this when we're building this. We always design in this way or must have these outcomes. This is what Claude.md, it's just the root of everything that you're trying to do. And it's important. You want to create this and you want to care it for it, which means you're going to look at it, you're going to evaluate it. Does this still serve a purpose? Actually, that's no longer applicable. Yeah, exactly. So that way you're making sure it has the relevant information. It loads every session, so it will never lose sight of that. And then memory is another way to do this. When I say Claude.md and memory.md, these are just files. They're literally nothing special than a file that says it contains this here. But what you tell Claude is, go find that file. And then there your context that you want to have is there, like memory or the instructions. And every session makes the next session sharper. I always work with Claude, and at the end of every session, when I'm done or we've done our work, I ask Claude to go back and independently look at our session and how did things go? What did we learn? Are there changes that we can make to our files, like memory or Claude or other ones, that'll help make our work better? Oh yeah, we learned that thing because we tried 3 times. Oh yeah, here's a solution. Put that into these information files, because then the next time around, you won't struggle with it. It'll go directly to the right solution. Get started is you run init / there, and that will get you started on your Claude.md. And from there, that's again the golden gospel of what you're going to do, and Claude will always reference back to that. Now, to help make things a little bit easier, like we all love shortcuts, coupons, if you will, right? If you think about it in that way, right? How do you get something more for less? Skills are way much like we have in Cowork, much like we have over in Web. It's the same thing apply here. So it's a procedure, executable steps that you do that you want to just have invoked. And so that way you can have it instead of saying, let's do step 1 through 12. If you build that skill, it knows what those steps are and it executes all 12 of those. And again, you can either call it out by name or Claude picks up enough things to go, oh, Thiago's talking about this, therefore this skill I should invoke is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Commands, shortcuts. So again, you can create these as well. Like I want you to do this and you press command, say / whatever it is, it will go and do that. It will execute the thing. So that way, again, it's just another shorthand way for you to work better with Claude because you're not talking about, oh, what I'm talking about. You're trying to explain every single time. You define it, and then commands and skills allow you to reference that and it invokes it into the work that you're doing.
Yeah, my favorite command is by the way. Do you ever use that one? /BTW?
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically just can have like a little side conversation or ask a question about something that's going on. I use it a lot when a specific process is just taking forever. It seems like it's stuck, right? So I go, hey, by the way, like, is this still running? Like, is like what's going on? So I think it's a good one.
There's so many out there too, and I think that's where you start to think about like how would this make my life easier, and what would these things be able to help me do. Routines are a great one. We'll talk about in a second. Mm-hmm. It's just this is the thing that you do every single time and execute much like a scheduled task, in Cowork. But just things like how you think about your SOD, which basically is a session handoff, and you can read that how you get started. So there's a ton out there. I encourage everybody to start researching these, but you'll find really good use case for them and to make your life easier. Oops. Hooks. This is one of my favorite. Hooks is the thing that says do not start, do not pass go, or you must stop and you can't go any farther. Hooks allow the system to say, for this particular thing that I know I should be doing, it's part of your memory, it's part of your Claude.md, but sometimes Claude just gets excited and wants to please you and just barrels through it, and you're like, wait a minute, that's important. A pre-tool use hook essentially is before you use a tool within Claude Code, and that's Claude doing it, not you. If it's going to use XYZ tool to do the thing you want to have it done, a pre-tool use hook will say, hey, before you pick up that tool, Claude, you must do these things. You must have your house in order. You must then check this or whatever the conditions are. But it says you can't use that tool unless the conditions are met for the pre-hook. Great. But then there's also ones after the fact to say you did it. And a post-tool use hook says, okay, you did it. Let me take a look at the results. Are we happy enough to move on? If we're not, you got to go back and we got to do something. So those allow you to really contain and control the important parts of what you need to have done. I use them all the time. It was a godsend when I first found them. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, because Claude I would just barrel through it and wouldn't get the result we want. Pre and post allows you to do that. Use them appropriately and sparingly and smartly, but it's a great way to ensure that Claude consistently will do the things you want it to do. And
this is something I haven't utilized as much, but I'm definitely going to start. And I already think of a couple of places where I can put, different hooks. So
right, it's exciting. And then the advice I can give, I touched on it earlier too, is every session or even periodically, I will ask Claude to go back and say, hey, changes to Claude.md. I actually wrote this as part of a post hook where it goes back and it must do this. Session close activities must do this. But I also asked for, hey, gosh, we ran into this problem. Should we maybe think about a hook for this? Or, hey, we ran into this problem 3 times. Can we put something around this? And I ask it, tell me, is it a skill? Is it a hook or whatever it might be? And it's great to kind of talk with Claude to figure out what they think, and you can challenge them, of course, as well. But you're just trying to get a rhythm and parameters and tools together so that you two can operate as effectively as you can. All right, and getting started here, same thing, just get in and get going, but you can do it with the desktop code tab. You can do via terminal as well. Same thing, you're pointing to a folder to tell you where you want it to work, and then you're going to say, let's get to work on a small task first, and then start to go from there. Start with one build, start small, get your reps in, figure it out, and then you can start to scale, over time.
Let's start with that plan mode.
Exactly. And that's the game changer, game saver. Like that allows you to really know what you're going to do before you actually do it. And then literally, and these are ones where I get a little bristly, I guess, that people are like, you can deploy a whole web, full built app by just one sentence. It's a cute demo at the end of the day, honestly. So you have to do the work to do it. But the point is, you can say, build an ROI calculator as a web link and put it live at a link. It'll plan it out. It'll have you review it. You'll look at it. It'll do it. You review the outputs, and here you go. You've got a live URL that you can go and you can invoke it in a certain way. It's as simple as that type of language. So don't be afraid of it. For anybody, it's just getting used to how you talk with it and work with it. And Claude.md will grow, as will skills, as will hooks. So again, you need to think about ways to use them to make your life easier and better. And just for fun, these are some things that I love. Second opinion. Go to doctor, don't like the answer, get a second opinion. I use Claude Web with Claude Cowork and Claude Web with Claude Code all the time. So I plan with Claude Web. I give it the vision, I plan with Claude Web. Then I go over to Claude Code and I plan as well. I compare the results of things together and I ask, like, why do we have this? How can we take improvements from here? When it runs in Claude Code, I then give the results over to Claude Web and I say, hey, what do you think about this? So essentially, Claude, in my case, becomes its own QA. And that allows us to be able to say, hey, objectively, was this built right? Are there any holes or whatever it is? You can run multiple sessions at the same time, which is kind of cool. If you've got a lot to do, get them both running. You can build, sequences where you're literally building and having agents run and do all the individual pieces and come back up to the orchestration layer. And you can have those things done for you, and overnight runs like routines as well. So many ways, it starts getting more advanced, but so many ways to think about your Claude Code skills, what it can do, and then from there, how much further you can take things. Even I amaze myself every single day. I learn something new every day on what you can do.
100%. So many things just constantly being released, right? So
exactly, you got to keep it fun, keeping up with it all, trying to at least. So this week, if you're going to try things out, try Cowork, get yourself growing there. I would just start with Cowork. Don't go into Claude Code. Get your reps in there first so that you feel comfortable, and then when you're ready, maybe dip your toes over into Claude Code. But if you are going to do it, open it up. Again, think of what you're going to build and plan it. But I love trying something you built in Cowork and try rebuilding over in Claude Code, or do a yes and. In Claude Cowork, you could do X, you couldn't do ABC. Maybe now in Claude Code, you could do the ABC that you weren't able to do before. And yeah, start thinking about where your needs are. What are your solutions that you can solve problems with, or give you scale or opportunities that you wouldn't have before? But it's all part of the general ecosystem of Claude and how you think about evolving and weaving this into your business. And that next phase for you as you start to embrace this as part of your day-to-day. All right. I think that wraps up our session.
Yeah, no, that was great. I learned some things as well, and
Same.
I hope it was inspiring for folks. The idea was just to kind of do the intro and the basics, right, and let people's imaginations run. So hopefully we did that. Thanks for chatting with me and spending this time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Me too. This is number 2, and we hope for more to come. And as the screen says, right, there's our contact information. You do get a complimentary consultation with either of us. Pick me. But that way, again, if you have questions or want to talk about things further, we'd both be delighted to talk with you. So.
Yeah, just mention this video. I was going to say, just mention this video in the email so we know exactly where you're coming from and what the bonus offer is.
My pleasure being here, chatting with you as always. I'll enjoy our conversation and hope somebody gets some good value out of all this. So,
yeah, sounds good. We'll chat soon. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.